Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, Allah gather us again tonight for the second series of the mothers of the true believers. Not only believers. Before we started this class, we talk about what is the difference between believers and true believers. So the word is used ummahatul mu'minin. Right, so mu'minin qad aflahal mu'minun. So the mu'min, they have guaranteed victory. So different between Muslim and mu'min, so it's a one level up. So people who just say shahada and start believing in Allah is a Muslim, but the next level to that is mu'min. And today we're going to talk about the ummahatul mu'minin, the mothers of the true believers. So probably for the next slide I will change it to become true believers. And then this is, mashallah, this is like a giant lady, the daughter of another giant. This is the celebrity of Jannah. So we're going to talk about another celebrity of Jannah today, our mother, Hafsah binti Umar bin Khattab radhiyallahu anhuma. So let's no further ado, so we can continue. Today we're going to cover four things as usual. We're going to probably discuss about what mothers of believers are. So what is this? What is actually the terminology coming from? And we talk about some of our family lineage compared to Sauda. She didn't have like the family lineage of Hafsa is slightly, because there are so many noble members of the clan. She comes from the different clan of Rasulullah SAW. Rasulullah comes from Banu Hasim, while Hafsa comes from another clan, which is Banuali. So we talk about that, and then we capture some of the life events. There's a number of life events that we can capture, but I think I'm going to capture 6 and 7, and inshallah we capture, or we extract some of the benefit from that. So let's start with the mothers of the believers. So the mothers of believers, the terminology itself comes from Al-Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, verses number 6. An-Nabiyyu awla, that the Nabi is awla, is a protector, bil mu'minin, to the believers, the true believers, min anfusihim. There's even, what is min awla? Someone who cares, someone who protects. Not only that, he actually cares and protects more than you care about yourself. Right? Min anfusihim. And then Allah continues, says, wa aswajuhu, and then the wives, ummahatuhum. Then the wives, they are the mother to them. So it is like and his wives are their mothers. So Allah mentions that if you true believers, mu'min, then these are your mothers. Right? So of course it's not biological mothers, but what is the mothers here? We can talk about it. The word ummaha is a plural of so ummul mu'minin is one person, ummahatul mu'minin means plural. Of course it's not biological mother. Imam al-Qurtubi mentioned this is a mother of education, mother of tarbiyah, mother of protections, where you can learn from them, when you can extract some of the life, the aspects of life from them. And Allah gave them special status. The word Umul used in Arabic, like for example Umul Qura, the city of Mecca, Al-Fatiha. What is Al-Fatiha? Umul Quran, right? And then the Lauh Mahfuz is Umul Kitab. So this is the word Umul in here, and they are like mothers to the mu'min. So let's talk about some of what is actually the definitions of the blessing. We start from the family members, or commonly says Ahlul Bayt. And of course, when they say Ahlul Bayt, there's another strand of Muslims who have a different definition. So inshallah, we won't have a definition based on the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is all the Sunni, basically. So the Sunni, all Muslim Sunni agree that the household of the family of Rasulullah SAW, they are from the Banu Hasim, which is the tribe of Banu Hasim. So that means his uncle, like the Abdul or Abdul Muttalib, they're all Abdullah and the fathers, and all of course, if they believe in Rasulullah SAW, believe in Allah, they're Muslim. Even the family of Abu Lahab, for example. Of course, Abu Lahab has a son by the name of Utbah and Utaybah. If they embrace Islam, I think Utbah embraced Islam. He embraced Islam. He's also included as a family, the household. So it is a household. And again, what is family and a household? There are two things, right? Number one is you are related by blood, and you related by marriage. So related by marriage means then that also includes all his wives, because it's a part of the Ahlul Bayt. So in Sunni, in Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the terms Ahlul Bayt will always include the mothers of the believers. And as we just talked about it, that the concept itself, the mothers of believers, Ummahatul Mu'minin, is coming from Surah Al-Ahzab, verses number 6. So, so what so special about there? Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Ahzab, Innama yuridullahu liyuzhiba ankumur rijsa. Allah wants to clarify you, ya ahlal bait. So Allah himself mentioned them as the family of Rasulullah SAW, the wives, so the ahlal bait. So this is, and they are not ya nisa nabiyyi lastunna ka ahadim minan nisa. Yeah, all the wives of the Prophet, you are not lastunna ka ahadim, like anyone minan nisa, among the women. So they're not like any other women. So they have a special status. One of the status, for example, is after the passing away of Rasulullah SAW, none of the mothers of the can remarry, right? So this is one of the, they have a special status. There's become haram for marriage for that, and they deserve the love and respect, just as if you love and respect your mother, and they become the teachers of the role models, right? So what is this Ahlul Bayt? Ahlul Bayt, they have a special they have a special status as well. What, for example, which camera I should be looking at actually?
Anyone, bro. All of them.
Should I be looking at you as well?
Give them all their rights.
Looking at I know a person says, why are you looking at one of his cousin, Fadl bin Abbas, Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, one day came to Rasulullah and asking for, is it possible that I can get some of the money from the zakah, from the sadaqah? And Rasulullah reminded that no, the family of the Prophet, they cannot take sadaqah. So not even Rasulullah, even the family, even at the time was Fadl bin Abbas is actually his cousin, right? His cousin, and even there you cannot. Even for example, the descendant of Abu Lahab, Utbah, right? Because he did embrace Islam at the end. That cannot take sadaqah, because this is the definitions of the Ahlul Bayt is from the Banu Hasim. They have special status, they have high status, they're extra special. Allah mentions, especially in Surah Al-Ahzab, about how they tested if they become the wives of Rasulullah SAW. They have different tests, different scenario, different sort of trial, but they will get reward twice as well, right? But if they all have been asked that you either want to choose the worldly life, so that means Rasulullah can divorce you, right? If you want, right, you just go a normal human being, or you want to stay with Rasulullah, because of course the frugality and the lives of Rasulullah lives is not like any others. Probably difficult in terms of economy, in terms of food, right? So many times Aisha radiallahu mentioned that Rasulullah came, is there anything to eat? No, there's nothing to. Okay, I'm just doing my fasting, right? So to that level, they have to go to some sort of difficulty, and because of that, they were tested with patience. They were tested with probably not enough sort of livelihood compared to others, and this is how they've been tested. So they have become the role model, definitely, and not only that. The wives of the Prophet, they become the wives in this world and after. And this is one of the stories which we're going to cover, that one, how Hafsa radiallahu anha, where Jibril came down and it says, take her back. At the time, we talk about it when we talk about it. So that is the wives of the Rasulullah SAW will be the wives in here as well as. So what does it mean? That means if they are the wives of Rasulullah SAW, where do you think they're going to live? Right? Right, so it cannot be The same. It cannot be the neighbor. It should be at least the same house or the same housing complex. I don't know whether housing complex is a good terminology. Probably more sort of housing galaxy or something. All right. So yes, and again, this is another form. Last time we talked about the series of Asara Mubasara, the 10 promised Jannah, and again, this is probably another form of Basara, another forms of good news to these ladies of who spend their life accompanying our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Um, can you see it from there?
Not in the.
No.
I can see it, but I don't think they can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I have this chart to show the lifespans of Rasulullah SAW from the first marriage with Khadijah, and I think the last person who died was Salama. Salama was the person who outlived the longest. So most of the wives of Rasulullah SAW, Khadijah passed away during the time of Rasulullah SAW, but the other two wives, they are Zainab binti Khuzaimah, after being married for probably 2 years or 1 year, and another lady from the Bani Israel lady, which is a Rayhana binti Zaid. So she also passed away during the time of Rasulullah SAW still alive. So I have this number 13. Of course, Maria is a different status, right? So Maria, she's not actually considered the wife. I don't know whether you know the difference between their wives. They are milk yamin and they're walad. Walad means like Maria is a walad because they are not actually married to Rasulullah. They become milk yamin, the right hand possessed. It's like I think I don't like the word terminology slave because it's a different connotations. When you hear the word slave, is people will always think of a Western civilization slave. So there's a milk yamin. There's a concept at the times of milk yamin where the milk yamin is actually they be allowed to mix with the owner, so it's almost like a husband and wife, and they're still called milk yamin. They're not considered. And in here, all the Ummahatul Mu'minin, they are the wives. So that means Maria Kipti Daya, Kipti, Maria from the Coptic, she is not actually the wife. She is actually the milk yamin or the Walad because she gave birth to Ibrahim. Right? So yes, so they are the. Today we're gonna talk about Hafsa radiallahu anha. Hafsa is the wife number 4. As you know, Rasulullah SAW was married to. Are you okay, brother?
Yeah.
Don't kick the camera. We need it. So, Rasulullah was married to Khadijah for monogamously, right? I just want to emphasize that, but I think it's probably. I don't know. I think for the last few years I have so many few friends and old friends and high school friends and so on, and they come to a certain age where they think I want to practice the Sunnah of Rasulullah SAW. I think you know what I mean.
Okay.
All right. So they always think so. And then again, there's all. Well, let's not come to that. This is probably a different topic altogether. But anyway, just recently, someone in the family also have that similar cases as well, where by the name of Rasulullah someone to again, if you really want to practice Sunnah, look at this. Rasul was married to Khadijah for 25 years, right? And only after that, then he took multiple wives and so on. And you look at this, you just want to have the comparison. What is Khadijah? Khadijah is Khadijah. I remember Rasulullah SAW was in Medina and people was asking because Khadijah already passed away when they were still in Mecca. And people ask, what is Khadijah like? And Rasulullah just lost of words. Khadijah is Khadijah, right? And who is Khadijah? Khadijah is a different mother. Is a different mother as a believer. She is the one who supporting the initial foundations of da'wah, right? She is the one that Rasulullah find comfort, right? She is the one that whenever everything's got difficult, Khadijah was there for Rasulullah. Khadijah was the one who held the hands of Rasulullah. Khadijah was the one who put the blanket over Rasulullah. And it was really the tough time. During the tough time, so our Rasul need a tough and strong lady, and that's Khadijah, right? So this is Khadijah, completely different level. And if you look at the Asara Mubasara, for example, that we talk about, who told them that they will be promised Jannah? Rasulullah from a hadith, right? that Abu Bakr bin Jannah, this will Jannah, this will Jannah, right? But who told that Khadijah will be in Jannah? Jibril himself came down, like a special envoy, like a special case, right? Jibril will not come down except Allah, special order from Allah. So that's Khadijah. So this is really as the highest level of the mother, right? But again, and if you look at from the others, the remaining wives, they are, for example, Aisha. Aisha is starting number 4, number 5 in terms of number of hadith she collected after Abu Hurairah, and then Abdullah bin Umar, which is the brother of Hafsah, the mother that we will talk today. They are extracting hadith and so on, and there's some of them, because of their marriage, the whole tribe become Muslims, and they're all different sort of narrative of all the wives. But if you look at Khadijah is different. She's the one who was like the comfort, is like the what do you call that, sidekick of Rasulullah. I don't know whether it's the right term or not, but I think you get the point. So that is the mothers of the believers. So we just go through some of the names. So probably you might want to name your children with Khadijah, Sauda, Aisha, Hafsah. It's actually with Sad, Hafsah, right? Zainab. Rasulullah has 2 wives with the name of Zainab. The first one is Zainab binti Khuzaimah, and then Salama, Zainab binti Jash, and Habibah is Ramla binti Abu Sufyan, and Rehana binti Zaid, which is another Jewish lady, and Safiya is also another Jewish lady, Safiya binti Huyai, and Maimuna, and then Maria. Maria is the Egyptian lady, but again, she is not the wife. She's the Mikli Amin, or the Walad. All right, let's talk about the next topic, which is the family, the family and the lineage of Hafsah radiallahu anha. All right, I don't know whether you can see clearly from there. I should, right? So Rasulullah SAW is from. Can you see the mouse? No, I have to click like this, right? Yeah. So Rasulullah SAW was from the Bani Hasim, while Umar from another clan called Bani Adi. And as you can see here, Umar has 2 children. Of course, he got many children. Just one from, I think the mother, from Jamila. No, from, can't remember the name. The wives of Umar. Hafsah radiallahu anha and Abdullah bin Umar. There are 4 Abdullah around the Abdullah bin Masud, Abdullah bin Amr, Abdullah bin Amr bin As, Abdullah bin Umar, and Abdullah bin Abbas. They are all famously known for their understandings about Islam. And for example, if you want to hear the Quran, how it's being revealed, listen to Abdullah bin Masud and so on. And Abdullah bin Abbas, for example, Rasulullah specifically made dua to Allah, Ya Allah, give the understanding of Quran to Abdullah bin Abbas. And Abdullah bin Umar, who's Abdullah bin Umar? Abdullah bin Umar is the second hadith narrator after Abdurrahman bin Sakar, or what's the other nickname of them? Abu Hurairah. Yeah, Abu Hurairah, of course, 5,000 beyond. But then the second one is Abdullah bin Umar. So Abdullah bin Umar is from this family, which is a full brother. Full brothers is a full brothers. Yeah, full brother. It's not paternal brother, not maternal brother, full brother. The same father, the same mother. And look at this, which is something interesting. Rasulullah SAW married to the daughter of Umar. But later on, after the demise of Rasulullah SAW, Umar married to the granddaughter of Rasulullah SAW. Did you know that? By the name of Kulthum. So Ali bin Abi Talib with Fatima had a number of children. One of them Hassan Hussein, everyone knew, right? But then it's another lady by the name Kulthum, right? So Kulthum is one of the daughters of Fatima, and Umar actually asked the hand of her marriage to Ali, because why? Because Umar wants the family of the Prophet, right? So this is how they see marriage, as someone to get close to Allah, someone to get close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That we cannot talk about that. So, who are the noble members of the clan of Banuali? Obviously, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, is the second caliph. So I don't have to go to detail. Everyone knows Umar who's Umar, and obviously Abdullah, right? But there's also another. I don't know whether you still remember the story of the milk, where Umar bin Khattab was a caliph, and he was every night he was doing a patrol, and then one day he overhearing a lady and her daughter talking about, okay, carry the milk for us to sell tomorrow morning in the market and so on. Let's put some water. So that means we can, no, don't put some water. We cannot do that, right? And then why? Because Umar says we cannot cheat and so on. But Umar is not here. But the Lord of Umar can see, right? And Umar radiallahu anhu was overhearing that, right? He was overhearing that. He came home and then knock on of his sons. Guys, I know one lady you should marry. If you don't marry her, I will marry her. So that what happened was exactly the Asim bin Umar, Asim bin Umar from the wife of Umar by the name of Jamila. He's the one who's actually married to that lady and give birth to a lady by the name of Laila. So Laila binti Asim bin Umar, and Laila binti Asim married with what's the name? The very famous one, Umar bin Abdul Aziz. So he married bin Abdul Aziz and he gave birth to Umar bin Abdul Aziz. So again, another blessings of this is one of the big famous the Caliph at the Umayyad dynasty, which is Umar bin Abdul Aziz. Umar bin Abdul Aziz is actually, what is it? The grandchild, the fourth generation, right? Umar and then Asim and then Laila and then Umar bin Abdul Aziz. So yeah, the great grandson of Umar. So that's the name. Hafsa radiallahu anha was born probably about 30 years younger than our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, born in 605 AD. She was previously married to another companion of Rasulullah sallallahu by the name of Khunais. Not many stories about him. He's one of the earlier converts to Islam at the hand of Abu Bakr. Subhanallah, Abu Bakr, like he is probably reaping of the so many people embrace Islam at his hand, including at least 5 people from the Asara Mubasara, the 10 promised Jannah, and Khunais is one of them. The Khunais went to the migrations to Abyssinia and with his family, and then he came back, and after that he married with Hafsa binti Umar. There are not many stories in Makkah, like probably not even our mother Khadija. Not many stories unless it's actually retold by Aisha radiallahu anha. Right? So because Rasulullah told the stories of Khadija to Aisha, for example. So not many stories of Hafsa during Makkah time. Umar bin Khattab married a number of ladies, and I remember now the name was Zainab. It is Zainab, the wife of Umar bin Khattab, who gave birth to Abdullah and Hafsa. So Hafsa again is one of the big tribe of Quraysh, which is the Banuali. So this is about the family and lineage. So let's go to some of the life events that we can where is my mouse? Okay. Some of the life events. As I mentioned, there are not many stories about Hafsa during Makkah time. She was married to Khunais bin Hudafa, and even him, not many stories about him. She was born at the time where people built in the Kaaba. I don't know whether you know. At the time, people in Makkah, they decided to collect some money and fund, and at the time Makkah was destroyed, not Makkah, the Kaaba was destroyed, so they rebuilt that again. And then the last part of this, who will put the Hajaratul Aswad, the black stone, back to it, and all the sub tribes they're all fighting about that. We are the biggest tribe of Quraysh, we should be the one who put and the Rasulullah came, and you know the stories about, okay, everyone put in a big cloth, and then put the black stones in the middle, and everyone would carry the black the cloth, so everyone get involved in that. So that is around that time was Hafsa radiallahu anha was born. And then this mentions about that immigrate to Medina with Khunais. Again, not many stories in Makkah, so I couldn't find. Then Hunais passed away after the Battle of Badr. So he's obviously the Ahlul Badr, so I get involved in the Battle of Badr. But I think the narration told that he was probably not. He didn't die out of the injury from the Badr. I think it's from the natural cause. And the husband Hunais was married in Al-Baqi. So that means after that Hafsah become a widow. And then what should a father do when one of his daughters became a widow? Right, is looking for another husband. So husband shopping. So this what exactly after Hafsa become a widow at the 20 years, and again at that time 21 is probably considered quite old at that time, right? So she was already married at least 2 years before the Hijrah, the 2 years after Hijrah, probably 5 years, 6 years, around that time. So Umar radiallahu anha was thinking, okay, who's the best man to marry my daughter, right? And when someone says the best man is who's the best, not in terms of the best who's the closestness to Allah, right? The closestness to our Rasul Sallallahu. And then of course he looked at the definitely he looked at the Abu Bakr and Uthman. So he came to Uthman. Uthman just lost a wife, which is Ruqayya, the daughter of Rasulullah Sallallahu. And then why don't you marry my daughters? And then Uthman says, I'm not thinking to get married right now. And then he came to Abu Bakr, and Abu Bakr was also declining as well. And he was deeply hurt, right? My best friends and the companions of Rasulullah SAW declined my daughter. Was something wrong with my daughter? So he was very upset. And then he came to Rasulullah SAW. But apparently, before that happened, Rasulullah was already asking Uthman and Abu Bakr, if I take the hand of Hafsa to be my wife, what do you think? Right, and this is again show us as a prophet, right? And he got Jibril to come down with the revelations and whatnot. And again, when it comes to worldly affairs, you still have to do what you call istikhara when you ask Allah, and istisara when you ask human, right? So you ask consultation. So even the likes of Rasulullah SAW, he asked, who's your best friends? And asked, what if I married the daughter of Umar bin Khattab, right? So, and at that time, because of that, that's why Uthman and Abu Bakr declined, because they knew that Rasulullah SAW was interested to marry Hafsah. So Umar was complaining to Rasulullah SAW, I asked my two best friends and to marry my daughter. They didn't want to do that. I get upset and so on, and say, how about this? How about I marry your daughter, and I will marry my other daughter, Kulthum, to Uthman. Right. So again, this is another blessing of Uthman, who married the two daughters of Rasulullah SAW. The Zul Nurain, the honor of two lights. All right, so that is the story before the marriage of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with Hafsah radiallahu anha. So another story about it's probably a simple story, but I think this is something that we can relate in terms of they are the mothers of the believers. They are people who look after our Prophet, right? They are the wives, which is the companions of our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And at the time, which is Aisha and Hafsa, they are co-wives. I like the stories actually. You know what? You know how much people like K drama. No, don't tell me you don't know K drama.
Drama? K-drama. Or Korean drama?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You know, series after series after series, how much you watch, like people fighting about the husband and the wife, and it's like, man, if you want to really watch like a real story and then you can benefit, well, you should listen to these stories, the wives of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's just amazing. There was one book in Indonesian, it's translated into the rooms of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. this is the first time I read the books about the mothers of the believers. When I read the books, it was in Indonesian, but on the front cover, there was the words from the author, right? And it was actually, it gives me goosebumps when I read that. So he was compiling the stories of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and their interactions, their jealousy, their fighting, and everything, right? They says, I never experienced when I type this book that I can see my tears on my keyboard. Right? That is, they put it in Indonesian's word, right? So there's actually, the book is actually is Arabic, but it was translated to Indonesia, and that the author himself says, I couldn't help myself, like I can see all my tears on the keyboards when I type all these stories. It is so touching. For example, here, Aisha radhiyallahu anha, Hafsa, they were fasting. Obviously, there was not Ramadan at that time. They were fastings, and for some, I think and then someone gifted them nice food. Of course, this food for Rasulullah sallallahu, right? But they received it first, and they were fasting. But apparently they're fasting, and they're also very, very hungry. I think they probably, I don't know how many days they have not properly eat properly. They couldn't help it. They couldn't help themselves. They broke their fasting and ate all the food, right? And ate all. See, this is what I like about this story, because this story is really down to earth, right? It's not like someone like they are the best human, but yet they're human, right? They are tested by Allah with all the needs and necessities and love and jealousies and hate and hunger. They got tested on that. The difference is they're passed with the flying colors, right? And this is where, if they're not tested, they don't deserve to be my role models, right? Because I've been tested with lust, with anything, right? With money, they also tested with the same thing as well. But how they passed the test, that is where we learn. So what happened was, they ate all the food, and because they were so hungry, and they finished all the food, and then after they finished the food, they felt guilty, right? So if you because you're out of hunger, you finish all the food, don't worry, our mothers did the same thing as well. And then they will feel guilty about it. What happened if Rasulullah found? And Rasulullah came and asked, and before he asked, Hafsa was the first one who came. Ya Rasulullah, we were so hungry, and then the food just came, and the food probably like smell nice and everything. We have not been eating nice food like this, and we ate it, and then before we know it, it's gone, right? And we broke our fasting, right? And Aisha she didn't actually tell the Prophet, but when she saw that Hafsa thought that, and she was like, she's like her father. This is actually is a positive praise. Like Umar was known for, there's no chit chat, or there's blunt and straight, right? It's just straight, honest and blunt and sincere, right? And again, this what sometimes make Hafsa get into troubles, because there is a similarity, or what do you call this? Similarity of trait and characters from a parent to their children, right? And I think of Rasulullah was once commented about Aisha, was he's like her father, right? So that means, in a sense, it is a praise. And in these times, as I actually mentioned, well, Hafsa is like her father, right? Right. So that means blunt and everything. So she went up and admitted, Ya Rasulullah, I finished all the food. If they didn't tell her, it's all right, because there's no leftover anyway. What did our Rasul say? All right, fine. Okay, just replace your fasting on another day. It's very simple. That becomes a fiqh where, is it allowed for you if you do the nawat, what we call nafil, the voluntary sawam, fasting, you can break it. Yes, you can break it, and then you can replace it, but you still have to owe that, because you already make an intention to do that. So this become all right. Comes the K-drama now. All right.
Or the I drama. The I drama.
What's that? Islamic drama. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a good thing. You can. One of the problem with having watching a cinema, right? I know some people. I was getting my dinner tonight, and I either have two choices: either the restaurants, the kebab restaurants over there, and the other one, which is the Istanbul one, right? So I went to Istanbul, and then never in my history of visiting Turkish restaurant without asking how's Ertugrul. So brother, Assalamualaikum, Walaikum Salam, while waiting for my dinner to be served. So how's Ertugrul? Oh, finished already watching. I'm watching the new one, and then he's keep scrolling. Let me guess. Di-release Uthman? No, 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 no. Oh, there's another one, the Great Seljuk. Anyway, so I'm not promoting or anything. I'm just sharing. So please wipe that memory. I'm not promoting anything. Right? So yes. So why did I tell you that story?
Drama.
Oh, the drama. Yeah. So people like drama because it's ups and down. The problem with the cinematic drama is you see the face, all right? I see the face. You see this. That what it meant is there is one area of your brain. I can't remember exactly that. If you imagine the story, you start not fantasizing, not the right word, but imagine the story. There's someone if tell you the story, right? Like orally telling the story, your brain is actually start processing and start putting certain image to that. That actually stick longer in your memory if you someone tell you the story rather than put it into. Of course, if you love the story, right? If you love the story, that's why some of the stories in if you listen to some of the stories about how people they can memorize the sanat, right, up to 6 or 7 generations. Not only that, if they like certain horse, and the horse is probably like the son of this horse, the son of this horse. They know all of this, and if they tell stories, they can retell the stories 1 year after that, word by word. Right? So and again, we already lost that culture. We watch movies these days, right? So don't watch that too. All right. So what happened was, Hafsa radiallahu anha had heated argument with Safiya. What was the argument? This is one of the good things about when the stories about this heated argument was told in the book of Sunnah, and they never mentioned the actual detail. They had fight, they have the yes, but what is exactly happened is not everyone knew about it, right? But it's not something that people will write. They know they can extract something, they can learn something, but what is the nitty-gritty detail and what is exactly the people is not actually captured in the book of Sunnah there. So what is the argument about is not important, but what is important was Hafsa said something which is quite harsh, and she said, "Oh, you, the daughter of Jewish, right? Yabnata Yahudiya, you're the daughter of Yahudi," right? And again, it hurts Safiya, and then this is mother and mother. So, and again, what is all of this, right? It shows us they are human. It shows us the humanity of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. They become role model. They are the celebrity of Jannah, but yet they slip, right? They make mistakes. They are the best human being, but yet still human. That's why we can relate to them. We make mistakes as well. And what happened after that? Safiya binti Huay radiallahu anha came to Rasulullah complaining and crying. Look at what Hafsa told me, and then it's not appropriate. And Safiya began crying and crying. And Rasulullah SAW consoled her by saying, your father was a prophet, your uncle was a prophet, and then your husband is a prophet, right? And look at the way how he consoled her, right? Hafsa is not better than you, right? You are from the lineage of the prophet, right? Your father's prophet means Musa is a prophet. Your uncle, which is Harun, is a prophet, right? You're from the lineage of the prophet, and now your husband is a prophet. So, and again, and when Rasulullah met Hafsa, ittaqullah, fear Allah, right? So it reminded, make taqwa rather than scolding her, just fear Allah, and that's enough for Safiya for Hafsa to be reminded. And this is, again, a simple story, but it tells you the humanity of our mothers and how they react to that and how Rasulullah console. I remember the hadith, khairukum, the best of you to the family, right? And how Rasulullah console the wives is again, what an amazing story. All right, so another 3 out of 5. Haram honey. I don't know whether you heard this. This is the story of the famous story, Surah Tahrim, I think verses 1 to 5. What is this story? You know, at one stage, Rasulullah has probably 8 to 9 wives living, right? So every day, Rasulullah will visit every one of them, every day. And then he will stay right after Maghrib where he supposed to, because he has to stay and then he will stop at the place or the house where he will be spending the night with, right? But every day we'll just visit everyone. And then today's, for example, is the nights of Aisha, so we stay at Aisha and sleep. And then tomorrow will be Hafsa and so on, right? But during the day, he will visit every single one of them and ask them what's to talk to them and so on. So not only staying one. So if you want to be fair, they have to go around. So it's no point of having one in Hong Kong, one in, I don't know, different country. But okay, forget about that. It's a different topic. I got carried away of the issues I've been dealing with. Anyway, now one of the thing is what happened was Zainab radiallahu anha, Zainab bint Jash, when Rasulullah came, she gave Rasulullah honey, and Rasulullah loved honey, and Rasulullah stayed a little bit longer, probably like 5-10 minutes, become like more than that, right? And what co-wives do, right? Jealous. And again, they're tested with jealousy, right? And how they pass it, this is the one we want to learn, right? And all the wives, they are a bit jealous, especially Aisha and Hafsa. So what happened was, they found out why Rasulullah spent a little bit longer at Zainab's house, because Rasulullah drank some honey. So what they do, so Hafsa and Aisha, they set up a plot. So their plot say, how about this? Every time Rasulullah came from the house of Zainab, let's pretend that this Rasulullah has a bad smell coming from his mouth, right? And what they saw, they call the smell of maghafir. Maghafir is like I think a certain food or something that they have to. I can't find that in Indonesian word and English word. It's a certain thing, but obviously in that society there's something called smell bad. So they plot to deceive Rasulullah. So every time Rasulullah came from that, I says, "What's the smell of in your mouth, right?" And Rasulullah became affected to that. Probably he knew it's probably not the honey. Probably he knew. But then, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, and then he actually made a qasam. He made a swear. Okay, from now on, I will not drink that honey. Right? And Surah Tahrim was revealed. Ya ayuhan Nabi, right? Directly to Rasulullah. Wahai, O Prophet, right? And then lima to harimu, why you make haram ma ajalallahu laka, that Allah has made something halal. The word, if you look at the English translation, O Prophet, why do you prohibit yourself that something Allah made lawful to you? But the word tuharimu means to make it haram. Lima tuharimu, why you make it haram? Just like a Allah actually censors, refutes or remind our Prophet or rebuke, right? Why you make something haram that I make something halal? And what is after that? To please your wife. Subhanallah, that word. And again, this is definitely this Quran, right? It's not about talking about, even in the discussions between a husband and wife is recorded, right? For example, it's in Surah Mujadilah, when a lady came to Rasulullah SAW and she complained about her husband and everything, and normally Rasulullah will not give a verdict until let me talk to your husband first. But in this case, Rasulullah gives the verdict. Why? Allah revealed the Quran. Allah already listened to this, right? So, and again, why am I telling this story? But anyway, this.
Just interjection before I forget. This actually proves like why the Quran is not from the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. This is one of the refutation of Rasulullah Abasa wa Tawalla, for example, the why you have that notions in your face, right? And here is actually Allah is correcting Rasulullah. Why you make something haram? You're a Nabi. You make something haram, everyone will make something haram, something like that, right? So, and is it because you want to please your wives? And again, why is it like khairukum li ahlihi, the best of you, the best of, but even in some narration, the best of you are the best to their wives. Just the effort that our Rasul tried to do in order to please the wife, right? Okay, I will not drink. And then Allah is Rasulullah is actually make a qasam. Qasam is like a swear. Okay, by Allah, I will not drink this. Right, and because of that, Allah revealed Rasulullah SAW, and this because he wanted to please the wives of Rasulullah SAW. Actually, this Surah Tahrim, in my other class when I talk about the two ladies and Hafsa, is actually Surah Tahrim. If you look at the translation or the tafsir of Surah Tahrim, there are actually two narrations. The first narration is about the honey, and there's also a very popular narration. It's not about the honey, but I'm not going to talk about it today. Probably after this class we want to listen to that, but it's something quite it's quite amazing as well. It's quite amazing. Anyway, divorce. What is divorce? I think we need to learn about this. Why? I come from Indonesian society. I think, I don't know whether you probably have the same. How people, society in general, how people see divorce as something like humiliations and whatnot, right? Something that distressful for the family, something that a big humiliation for the family or not. And when I first learned about that, one of the Ashar Mubasara, the 10 promised Jannah, which is Zubair bin Awam, divorced with Asma binti Abu Bakar, I was like, really, the divorce? I thought people of Jannah will not divorce, right? No, this is actually wrong impressions about. If just recently, probably not even 2 months ago, probably but just last month, something happened to within my close circles of family as well, where they have to make a decision. In fact, actually, I have 2 cases last month. Well, the first case, actually, I came to hear. There's one brother.
To do divorce?
No, to ask about whether to divorce or not, to something like that. So subhanallah, this room has benefited more people, and so people who contribute to these centers, definitely Allah will give you all the blessings and all the may Allah reward all of you. Subhanallah, it just gave me goosebumps. Yeah, someone came to me and says, I have this problem, should I divorce my husband, and so on and so forth. And I said, being asked, of course I have my own opinion. If I were you, I would do this. But again, I have to be just, right? One of the things I mentioned, if you hearing from your story, if you do divorce, this is the pros and cons. If you don't do divorce, this is pros and cons. You know all these pros and cons from me. Ask these pros and cons from other people. Do not ask people who are very close to you. They're probably more toward you, but someone, to remove the biases and so on. And after that, you ask Allah, right? So I have my own opinion. I would probably suggest you to do this, but if I want to be honest with you, right, because I have not heard the other side of the story, and so on, you have to istikhara and istisara. It's always like that. And then if this has to be divorce, I will be the one who talk to your family member, that I'll make sure there's nothing bad happen to you and so on. And again, sometimes people believe, how gonna feed my family, how they always thinking like that. If I divorce, probably I don't have my sort of financial support and so on. But think about it, right? You probably you think about it right now, but at the same time you have to protect your sanity as well. If you stay married but you're not happy, right, you end up actually accusing each other, and then hereafter you actually start blaming each other. So not bringing you to Jannah. What's the purpose of having this union in here, but you're gonna be fighting over deeds and so on in Jannah, right, in the Yawmul Qiyamah, right? So you always considers about what is the pros and cons in the dunya as well the hereafter. But anyway, so there's a lot of narrations actually that Hafsa was actually divorced. Some people says divorce one, some people said divorce two, but he was divorced. What is the reason? The reason, just to make it short, there was an ayah in the Quran in Surah Al-Ahzab where Rasulullah translated as, this is a reminder for Hafsa, because Hafsa did not obey Rasulullah. There's certain things that Rasulullah asked, which is somewhat related to the Surah Tahrim. I think the story is a Surah Tahrim, someone related to Surah Tahrim. And Rasulullah made some sort of agreement with Hafsa, do not tell this to anyone. But apparently she told Aisha, and because of that she considered to disobey, and Rasulullah actually Quran actually rebuked Hafsa, and because of that Rasulullah thought that he needed to divorce Hafsa, right? So why is that? Because I think a lot of scholars mentions about when she was actually asked, why our prophet divorced you. No, he didn't divorce me because he doesn't want me, or because for something else. It doesn't mean that our prophet still love me or still want me, but because of certain things he need to he thought it was probably good to divorce. But anyway, the whole city was shocked. And who shocked the most? He throw this. All right, I'm gone. I'm gone. I don't know what's gonna life. My daughter, that of course Umar radiallahu anhu is very, very unhappy about this. But then before the Iddah finished, Jibril came, and this is what I like. She is your wife in this world, and she's your wife in Jannah. What else you wanna? This is not another mubashara, another good news, right? And innaha sawamatun kawamatun. Verily, Jibril say, she likes to pray and fasting. So your deed, brothers and sisters watching somewhere, your deeds protects us, inshallah save us, right? So do not belittle, not belittle, what's the right word? Trivialize. Do not trivialize your deed. A simple deed that you do, probably this is out of sincerity, that might save us, right? Inshallah, inshallah. May Allah make everything that is so small, make us sincere to do that because of Allah, because we only want to please Allah, and hopefully that will become an asbab for us to save from hellfire and even go to the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So her deed actually saved her. So what happened after the passing away of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Hafsa spent most of her time at home. I think there's a different translations of I think the wife should be staying at home and so on, but I'm not going to detail about that. The Battle of Jamal, where you heard the stories about Aisha and Ali bin Abi Talib, and this one of the dark story, the dark period of Islam, which is the fitnah, the battle between the companions. But at the time, Hafsa almost went to the battle, but then her brother Abdullah bin Umar stopped her from doing that. So she's free from having to have a clash between. And there are two camps, right? The camps of Ali radiallahu anhu and the camp of Aisha. And in the camp of Aisha, there's a Talha, there's a Zubair. They are like giants, and they are like the the Ahlul Jannah, right? They already Asara Mubasara, right? And again, what we don't know is actually the third group. The third group of people who rather don't want to get involved in this, and one of them is Abdullah bin Umar. Right. So Abdullah bin Umar didn't want to get involved in politics and then so on and so forth. So when it comes to something like this, I tend to go into more apolitical, if you say. It's more like Abdullah bin Umar. Another one, probably the last one, she was blessed with the first copy of Quran was with her. So the first copy of Quran, if you remember, was actually compiled during the Abu Bakr, and then after it's been compiled, then Abu Bakr passed away after 2 years, and then it was handed to Umar bin Khattab. Umar bin Khattab gave it to, when Umar bin Khattab passed away, we give it to Hafsa, and then when they tried to make a recompilation again and to distribute at the time of Uthman, they borrow it from, people call it the mushaf of Hafsa. So she was blessed of having the first copy of Quran. She passed away at the age of 60. Marwan bin Abdul Malik bin Marwan, I can't remember. He was at the time, he became the caliph at the time, but he was still the governor of Medina. He's the one who led the janazah and buried in al-Baqi, and Abdullah bin Umar was the one who go into the grave and put her into the grave. And she didn't narrate it so many hadiths, it's just probably about 60 hadiths. All right. Well, how come it goes to here?
I was thinking how, subhanAllah, Abdullah ibn Umar was blessed with the hadiths.
Yeah.
And Hafsa was blessed.
Subhanallah. What a family. Yeah. It was. There is a family. Yeah, it's a family of so much blessing. All right. So what I want you to think about when you talk about Hafsa, number one, what comes in my mind is divorce. Divorce is not something. It's not something haram. It's not something you should look down upon. If it is an exit that Allah provide to us, if the right times and it might be the right choice for some people, might not be the right choice for some people. Of course, when one of our friends decided to think about having divorce, and I said, you can continue to be nice to your husband and so on and so forth, because you only want reward of Allah, right? Of course, the love is not there anymore, but you're doing it for Allah, right? Sometimes I do that as well, but not because how you protect the sanity. You just go to your mihrab, just go to your house and just pray and ask Allah, and then forget. And then you just have to be nice to your husband and be the best wife, not because you love him anymore, just because you want to please Allah. That's all, right? And when you start doing, you direct your ibadah to Allah, not to human, and it becomes some sincerity, right? And remember stories after 5 years, 6 years of turbulence and fightings and not, and then she calmed down and because I'm doing this, I still cook for my husband, I still wait for my husband to come to work, I still prepare everything, I still to be ready for him in bed and so on and so forth. I did it because of Allah. And you know what happened after that? After a few years after that, the husband actually repented. The husband actually came back to, not only that, he came back to become a good. And then again, we don't know, we don't expect that. We do it because the idea is if you divorce, probably the family gonna be this, just stay and then do it because out of Allah, and the reward that you gain is beyond our imagination. Everyone, inshallah, in the hereafter, everyone will be jealous of you because because of your patience, right? So divorce is not something that you want to be. It is something that Allah dislike, right? It's just something halal that Allah dislike, but again, it's something that an exit that you can use, and it's not something to be looked down upon. Your deed save you, right? So even though small, please continue doing your deed. Continue support this cause of MCSK. The right timing?
Just about.
And she was blessed with the first copy of the Quran, and as you pointed out, she is coming from the best family, but not only that, how Rasulullah treat her, it is a culmination of the what do you call the implementation of khairukum li ahlihi. Right? This is a really pinnacle. Like if you can be nice to your boss, you can be nice to your donator, whatever. It can be nice, but nice to your wife after a few years of marriage is not something that is easy to do unless you want to please Allah. Okay, I think that's all. I don't know why my screen is not coming back to the original, so I have to go back to here, and yes, so we can conclude today unless you have a simple question. MashaAllah, 1 hour.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't think I was gonna make 1 hour.
We went on many tangents.
Yeah, so I have to do tangents, otherwise it's gonna be 20 minutes only. Alright, Jazakumullah khair. So inshallah we meet again for the next topic, the next lady, the next mother. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.